What is going on, guys? Gainz Gaming here, and today we are talking about KVK and most importantly, how we lost KVK. Now, this was a lot of fun. I think this was probably one of the longest Kingsland I have fought in. It went on for about 4 days, and you can see we did lose this KVK, but I want to give a huge shout out to the Kingdom 2359. Now, I really don't understand how they were overlooked so much in this KVK, because I can't tell you how many times I got comments of people saying, oh, 1846 Allied the best camp, this is an easy win. And like, no disrespect to Water Camp, like they were great, they fought very well, but they were definitely not the next best camp. 2359 is an amazing kingdom, and I really don't understand why people thought they weren't, because they were also Imperium, and when you look at their kills, like 2.3 trillion to 1.9 trillion, like that is pretty close. And like, so they are a very good opponent. And honestly, I think that this KVK not only showed the strength of 2359, but also showed the difference of crystal technology. And we'll touch quite a bit on that today. I know a lot of people have been asking me like what my thoughts are on this new crystal tech. And I put a poll on my last live stream, and like 80% of people said they really like this new crystal technology. And for reference, what I did for this KVK was the pop-ups. I did the crystal supply bundle, and then I also did whichever one this one is called in the crystal mine, advanced treasures. So I did all of those, and then I also did one mountain warfare. Now that's obviously more spending than most people do in KVK, but what I have found with this new crystal technology is that if you do pop-ups and that's all you do, you can pretty much max out 2 units by the time you get to Kingsland, which is pretty insane. So if you are running 2 or 3 troop types, this is going to be fantastic for you, especially if you are a low spender or even medium spender. Like, you're going to do very well in KVK in terms of tech. And that's honestly why I think we lost KVK, is because this tech is so much more beneficial to the lower spenders. And to the whales, like, yes, you get max tech sooner, and that's why we won zone 5, that's why we won past 7, we won everything up until Kingsland. And honestly, I think the biggest reason why is because of how much more important overall numbers are. And when you look at 1846, like, we are very well known for this. We are not a numbers kingdom. We are a whale kingdom. There are more whales than there are numbers. And like, for reference, I have 11.2 billion kill points, and I am one of the lowest in 1846. You can see I'm ranked 94 in our alliance here. And if I scroll all the way down to me, like, this is kind of where and we have some people from Water Camp in here as well. But like, we got around 100 fighters in 1846, roughly around 100, and I'm ranked 94. And so that's pretty insane, to be honest. Like, that is pretty crazy that having 11.2 billion kill points puts you, barely in the top 100 in the kingdom, and we barely have 100 fighters. And so that really came out in this KVK, that we just don't have the numbers, because every single time we were going to fight 2359, we were outnumbered 1-3, 1-4. It was like, if you go back and watch my live streams, they were everywhere. They outnumbered us in every single scenario because they just have way more players. Now, right here, we have our rock metrics. I'm not sure who puts this on, but huge shout out to them. It's just rockmetrics.com. So if you want to check this out, you can actually look at a ton of different KVKs here. So you can just find the one you're looking at and see all the stats. So huge shout out to these guys. I'm not sure who runs this, but just wanted to give them a little plug there. But these are the overall stats for this KVK. So we can see the power, the kill points, deads, all those good things. So here we are able to take a look at the overall camp stats for every single camp. And you can see Wind Camp had the most kill points with almost 400 billion kill points, which is pretty substantial. And you can see, compared to us in Fire Camp, we had 291 billion kill points. And you can also see the individual kingdoms if you care about that as well. So Wind Camp 2359 did the best in terms of kill points, and then 1846 was number 2 with 272 billion. And I think the other important thing here is the deads and the power loss. You can see we took a lot more main deads. And the reason why is because we just don't have as many players, and we had to be mass filling everything. And I think a lot of this actually comes from Makot as well, because he was absolutely insane. We'll go over individual stats here later in this video as well, but absolutely insane. He dropped so much power. And if we scroll down here, we can actually see the individual stats. Makot took 57 million dead troops. That is just insane. Dropped almost 500 million power. That is just unfathomable. I can't even imagine that. Alru dropped almost 100 million power. BT Cyborg dropped 82 million power. Like, these guys dropped so much power, and people in Water Camp also dropped a ton of power. So like, the top 6 players were all from our side, and the reason why is because we were taking such bad trades. It was just horrible. We were taking horrendous trades the entire KVK because we were so outnumbered. And again, I think one of the biggest reasons for that is because of the crystal technology, not only allowing you to max out your troop types, but also everybody has over 400,000 units in their march. That is incredible. And the thing about this KVK with the new crystal technology is that it allows even free-to-play players to hit like a whale. I was talking about this in my last live stream, where it's like, okay, even if they're free to play and they don't have as good of equipment or armaments or whatever, you still have to consider they probably, if they are only running like infantry and cavs, they probably have all maxed out infantry and cav stats, and they're also running with 400,000 T5 units. Even if you have a mix of purple and blue equipment, you're going to do really, really well because you just have so many units. And the amount of damage you're doing obviously isn't as much because there is no all damage in this crystal technology, but you sustain so much longer, which allows numbers to do so much better. And this is not me like complaining like, oh, this isn't fair to kingdoms that have more whales. Like, no, I think this is a good thing for the game. It's just kind of the opposite of what 1846 is all about, where we focus more on quality over quantity versus other kingdoms that I've been in the past, such as 1079, where it was quantity over quality. Like, yes, we had a couple whales, but the most important thing was that we had numbers. We just overwhelmed our opponents by bringing so many people on the open field that they didn't know what to cover because they couldn't, and we were able to just overwhelm them. And that is exactly what 2359 did, especially in Kingsland. But even at Pass 7, we were not able to do anything at Pass 7 besides, we burned a couple things over here, but we were never able to push back because every single time we were outnumbered 1-4, 1-3. Even in their downtime, it was 1-2 at best. So the amount of numbers that these kingdoms were able to bring to the fight was so substantial that we couldn't do anything. And even with our whales, whales were trading negative. Like, I was seeing reports from Makot, seeing reports from BT Cyborg, like the guys that have the best equipment and armaments in the game, they were trading 20%. And when you take a look at the overall trades in this KVK, let's look at BT Cyborg, for example. Just under 2.15 billion of these kill points. And this is how you get the kill points, is by severely wounding 1 T4 or 1 T5 unit, getting 1 or 5 points. So majority of these are going to be 5 points for every single kill that you get. So just under 2.15 billion. And he finished with 2.363 billion of these points, meaning he healed a substantially more amount of units than he killed. Even though he killed a crap ton of units, he healed substantially more, which is crazy. And like, if you look at mine, I traded 306, almost 307 to 343. That means I was trading at like 80%-ish, and I still have 400K that's healing in my hospital right now of T5, 460K that, aren't even counting toward this. So this is an even worse trade than it's showing right now. But like, it's just insane how bad we are trading. This is going to shock a lot of you, but this is the most amount of heals I have done ever. And that includes against 1960, 1188, and 1316, meaning I traded better against 1960, 1188, and 1316 than I did against 2359. And that's both a props to 2359, but also just showcasing how different this crystal technology is compared to previous KVKs. Now, obviously, for me in 1846, I'm pretty biased against this because it does not help us whatsoever. It actually works in the exact opposite of our favor. It does not benefit us whatsoever because like, yeah, you have a ton of different units you can do. For me, I run all 4. So it's actually pretty bad for me because I have to max out siege tech too. And so up until Kingsland, I had nothing in siege tech. But ironically, what I traded best with the entire KVK was siege. And I feel like if I didn't have a siege march, this trade would be average 40%, because like when I looked at my reports, the only good ones I had were from my siege. Like this is what I was getting from siege, and then my average, even for my QSH, like was a really good trade for me with QSH. These ones were insanely good for me, but my average, and you can fact check me on this in my live streams, my average was 20 to 40% was my average with all my marches, especially with cavalry. I know Chiskel made a video about this, about how bad cavalry are in this new KVK format with this new crystal technology, because in order to max out these special concoctions 2, it requires you to max out your cavalry march speed, which puts you at a huge disadvantage in the murder ball, because your cav marches will go so fast into the enemy murder ball that they will just instantly die. And my average trades with my Nevsky, my Hookah Bing, they traded like less than 40% every single time. And even when we look at like rally reports, like if we traded 100%, that was a really good trade. And you know, Makot was mass filling everything. Like this is kind of what we averaged with our trades. It was not good. I mean, you look at this rally, 41 mil to 21 mil. Like this was our average. When I filled stuff, I would always take a bad trade. And there were a couple flags that I tried to mass fill until my hospital overflowed, and I was like, okay, I can't be taking 100% deads here. But it's just crazy how bad we were trading, because they would swarm the entire flag and have 500 marches sitting there. And that might be an exaggeration, but you can look at some live stream footage and you can see there were quite a bit of people always surrounding the flags. And the amount of people they had in the murder ball was just so insane that we could not do anything about it. So again, I do want to give a big shout out to 2359 and all of our other enemies in this KVK, as well as our allies. Watercamp did fantastic. That's actually why we were able to stay in Kingsland for so long. It's because our allies in Watercamp were able to hold this section against Earthcamp for so long that it gave us time to buy against 2359. At the end, obviously, we did lose KVK after about 3.5 or 4 days of fighting. Unfortunately, like with my move with the new house, it was horrible timing with Kingsland. I was able to fight for about a day and a half straight, and then after that, I was completely booked with, you know, real life stuff. So I was very unfortunate not being able to fight the full 4 days. But I did pull up, I'll do another video showcasing my overall stats, but I did pull, I think it was like 1.3, close to 1.3 billion kill points as KVK. I wish I could have hit 2. That was my goal, but obviously with the new house and the move, it was just really bad timing for me to be able to do a lot of fighting. I know it's an excuse, but real life does come first for me. And obviously as a content creator, I want to be able to fight as much as possible and stream as much as possible. But we did have some mishaps there as well. But I'll keep you guys posted on what my overall stats were for this KVK and share that here in a couple of days. I'm going to do my best to get those edited as soon as I can and keep you guys posted. I do have some more footage from this KVK to post as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But again, big shout out to 1846 for this great KVK. It was a lot of fun, and huge shout out to our enemies for winning this KVK. You guys fought great. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think everyone had a lot of fun in this KVK. It wasn't a quick in and out of Kingsland, which it always sucks when that happens, where it's like there's a huge buildup and then Kingsland lasts 4 hours and it's done, and fighting's done for the KVK, and it's kind of a letdown. This one, it lasted 4 days, so I thought that was a lot of fun. 2359 is about to hit 2 trillion kill points, which is crazy, but I am looking forward to what 1846 does in the future, because obviously with this new crystal technology, if this is the future, then obviously I don't have any leadership here whatsoever, but I think we definitely need to consider bringing in a lot of lower spenders and mid spenders that aren't whales, but they're just numbers on the field that can bring 5, 6, potentially 7 marches into Kingsland, because with this new crystal technology, we absolutely need more than 100 players into the alliance, because 100 players compared to, even if it's 150, like you multiply those 50 by 5 marches each, that's a lot of marches on the field. And it's just, even if they're low spenders and they don't have max tech, they are just going to overwhelm you with 400,000 T5 units in every single March. It's just crazy how different this crystal technology is. So let me know down below what you guys think about this crystal tech, if you are a fan of it, or if you personally like the old crystal tech better with the more all damage. But for me personally, just being an 1846, I am obviously don't love it, but for as a content creator, for my main audience being low to mid spenders and even free to play players, it is fantastic for the average player in Rise of Kingdoms and the average kingdom, because it allows you to punch a lot higher than you actually are. But at the same time, if you don't have the numbers, you are probably going to start trading really poorly in the open field just because of how the new crystal technology is working. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, let me know what you guys thought down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.